These men are different in age and profession. A cook, businessman, a choreographer, a policeman. But there is something that unites them. Having lost their limbs in this war, they have not lost their thirst for life. With his incredible posture and Hollywood smile, Oleksandr Chaika resembles a movie star, and he probably had every chance to become one. He devoted his entire life to choreography and acrobatics, that is until March 2022. When, despite having no military experience, he joined the armed forces of Ukraine.
Report on the situation.
He was immediately sent to one of the hottest spots on the front line near Popasna.
The hardest thing was probably the lack of understanding. Even among my comrades, no one could even hold a weapon. No one understood anything, neither the war nor anything else. That stage was like being in a movie for me. I probably thought it was just a movie. You can see the snow. Are you filming me? We got into with their guys. Are you filming? This is not real. It cannot be happening. We are in the 21st century. This is all a lie. But gradually we began to get into it, to understand it. We started to learn. We had a good captain who taught us a lot, explained everything.
His frontline life lasted only a month. That morning, when I was going on patrol, I didn't feel well, Oleksandr admits. And so it was as soon as we took up our positions, an enemy attack began.
Ouch, it's closer. The attack. I lay down in a trench, completely lying down. Then the attack stopped and I sat up. And then a shell from a tank came. So there was a trench and the shell came through the soil, right into the trench where I was sitting. I was thrown to the other side, completely covered with soil, with everything. Only my head was sticking out of the dirt.
He was covered with dirt so much that he could barely breathe. It took his comrades an hour to dig him out.
And when the guys dug me out, they found a shell from a tank lying near my feet. And the guys were still joking. They said, "We will make you a charm to wear around your neck." I said, "No thanks."
Oleksandr hardly remembers the evacuation to the hospital in Dnipro. Due to constant pain, he was losing consciousness all the time.
And when I arrived at the clinic and woke up the next day with the amputation, I felt really relieved, because I didn't have that terrible pain anymore, which I still cannot forget. And I was examining my body with my eyes to see everything was okay. I saw that something was wrong under the blanket. One leg was there, but the other was not visible. I started pawing around and I really didn't have a leg. Because the gas gangrene had already progressed, they had to amputate the entire leg, and the doctors made these decisions themselves. It turns out that the injury occurred around 10 o'clock in the morning on April 6, and I got to the hospital only on April 7th, around 5 o'clock in Dnipro. The doctors gave me only a 20% chance to live. They told my mother that she shouldn't get her hopes up, that if I had a strong heart, I would live.
The doctors were anonymous. He would have to live in a wheelchair because the amputation was too complicated. They had to completely cut off the leg and even remove the joint. In the first days, Sashko was haunted by questions: how to live on, how would his girlfriend react?
I didn't know what would happen next. I would even able to walk, or I would really be in a wheelchair. Will you take it yourself or should I? Will you take the wheelchair? But one day she just shot a video. She made it clear to me that she was not going to leave me. I am still the same Sasha she met. Son, give me a kiss. Will you give me a kiss? How will I teach? How will I show the kids and the skills I've acquired throughout my life? Acrobatic stunts, martial arts. I just lived for it. I couldn't even walk down the street without doing a flip.
Roman's main passion in life is cooking. After graduating as a cook, he got a job in a well-known Kiev restaurant and began to build his dream career. But when he woke up to the explosions on February 24th, he went not to the kitchen but to the military enlistment office.
I didn't even think about it. There was no other choice, such as running away somewhere or just sitting out. I knew I would go, because I have something to defend, someone to protect. We were first sent to Kostiantynivka. We were between Kostiantynivka and Chasiv Yar. Then, well, we stayed for 4 days there. We received an order from the commander that the first unit was to go to combat positions. Unfortunately, we had only one combat mission, one day. That's what bothers me the most. It bothers me a little bit that one day, and I went to the hospital.
Я поїхав в больницю.
I cannot hear.
They started mortar shelling, it was very good and powerful. Then, after a while, we heard shooting. What do? You put on your armor, put on a helmet, run to another part of your unit, and what do? We went to the guys for reinforcement, and we'd been doing this for 5 hours. We would get hit from one side, then from the other side. Sometimes a grenade would land 2 meters away, sometimes something else, and it was very long. I was just sitting there thinking, damn, I wish this shit would end soon. Now I have some dry food there. I could lie down and even eat something.
Полежати та ще й поїсти.
It landed 2 meters away, in a small ravine. It fell quite far from me, and the ravine was quite deep too. How it went through the soil and got through my leg, I don't know. And then the guys pulled me out. They pulled me out, maybe they carried me for a kilometer. I saw that my comrade had blood on his neck and on his armor. I was so surprised to see that he was not wounded. Then I looked at my arm, and it was just like that. I didn't even hear it or see it. The only thing I remember well is when they brought me to our house. The doctors came running. They said, "We have a nearly dead one." I said, "I'm wounded." I raised my arm like this. I'm wounded.
As a result of the injury, Roman lost almost his entire foot. He had several surgeries ahead in the hope of saving his leg, and the most difficult decision in his life, about re-amputation.
I realized that if I didn't get re-amputation, I wouldn't be able to return to service or return to the restaurant. Because I was on my heel, I could not stand on two legs straight for a long time. I was constantly walking with sticks. My leg was hurting. It was a bit difficult, but then I went to work. It was hard physically at first. Somehow I was mentally distracted. It has to be really crusty nice, because that's what's going to be the problem. Put it on a little bit harder. On the other side, close it a little bit so that it's not raw. And you're already preparing the dough, so that's fully cooked. No, Sasha, you put the bottom one in the sink.
Світогляд трохи.
My mindset changed a bit after all these events, but then in general you start to get used to it. It's hard both physically and mentally. It is more difficult mentally. Physically it's like this, I grit my teeth and go.
Я вам так скажу.
I'll tell you this, my soul will probably never be put back in its place.
Всі рани будуть постійно нагадувати.
For many years, Serhii Smirnov served as an explosive technician for the National Police in the Kherson region. His native Oleksandr community was occupied in the first days of this big war. His family remained in the town. The liberation of the Kherson region became a personal matter for Serhii.
Yes, go ahead, my friend. Make it beautiful.
Поступово ми заходили.
Gradually, we entered from the direction of Vysokopilya and slowly liberated the villages. Kherson was liberated on November 11th.
Листопада. Я тоді ще 4
On November 4th, I wrote to my mother because my mother was in occupation. I said, I will be home soon,
буду вдома.
because we already knew that Kherson was already ours.
Палити не будемо, тому
We won't burn it because the room is still relatively normal, but you can tear it. Let's trample around a bit.
була у нас
We had information that they were already leaving, and we entered Kherson on November 12th.
листопада.
And people met us and cried. It was such an emotion when you go, children are sitting there, waiting for us.
Сльози були.
Tears welled up in my eyes, but they came out on their own.
Ходили.
Grandpa scooter, I like it. Cymbaluk calls it grandpa scooter, it doesn't seem to be burning.
Щось не горить. Вперше
In the early days, there were a lot of mines. Everything was mined. All the doors, all the buildings, everything that,
були всі.
well, where the Russians world was. There were mines there.
Там все, грубо говоря, стався в міни. Зараз буде трошки
It's going to be a bit loud. We are destroying exploded shells.
Зорвані боєприпасики.
On the second day after the liberation of Kherson, Serhii and his fellow officers received an order to clear the SSU building, where one of the occupiers' headquarters was located, of explosives. The task was almost completed. The last office room was left to clear.
We worked in a group. There are 3 of us, explosive experts, and they were with us for cover. There was, well, Alpha Special Forces on the cover. We went into the building, through the door specifically, and I took the whole blow. I covered the guys, I remember. I opened the door, I thought, if there are any stretches, there are not. I just made a gap to look and heard the explosion. I thought, oh, I got hit.
Попав, говорю. Прожить скільки?
I was alive and well for how long? Well, 9 years from the war, and here I am. I remember it to the minute. It was just a flight, a second. I thought it was 5 minutes. I was lying down. I thought I am alive. That's good. I looked at my arm. It was fine. My face was clean. I thought there was no blood. Everything was fine. I lifted my legs. My leg. I saw that one leg was missing. I said it was normal. I said I was lucky. I have still one.
Одна є.
Well, from the very morning, I had a strange feeling, a kind of anxiety, and the whole day was just a nightmare. I couldn't find a place for myself. I didn't know what to do. I had no contact with him at that time because he was in Kherson. Would you like an eclair? It's your favorite. And sometime in the afternoon, I found out from social media that a combat engineer had exploded during the mining in Kherson. And it was just, you know, it was my Serhii. I had that feeling. And I was sure that it was him, and I couldn't get in touch in any way. In the evening, his colleague called me and said that he was there. I remember this day very well, unfortunately. I would like to forget it, but...
Are we going to write letters?
Then came prosthetics in the United States and several months of rehabilitation. But as soon as he got used to the prosthesis, Serhii returned to work for the National Police.
They offered me prosthetics at the Protest Foundation. They bear all the responsibility and help. I decided to go and get a prosthesis to get back on my feet. I can run and play football and do what I used to do before I was wounded.
Get on the gate.
Now I feel like I was born this way. I get up and put my foot on. Run and walk there. It's like my own thing.
Let's go, let's go.
I came from the US in May. In mid-May I arrived, and by the end of May I was already working. Then I went to Kherson as an explosive technician.
Далі пішов. В Херсоні. Вибухотехніка, далі пішов.
My wife is against it. She always opposes me going to war again.
Опять,
We need to determine who else but us.
якщо не ми. Я купив прапор.
I bought a flag on the first day of the war, and I told the guys that I would hang it at home in Oleksandr. And then I guess I can quit and have rest.
Звільнитися і відпочивати.
Really handsome. Guys from Volyn and Rivne don't mess around. The Cossack will grow up to be a real man. I'll give him this. I've already said, when he grows up to see Moscovits, I'll give him this 44th Magnum. They'll have no chance. Well, hard times call for hard decisions, right?
Правильно?
Before the big war, Serhii worked at a factory. However, on the first day of the invasion, he joined the armed forces of Ukraine. He served as a grenade launcher in the Kherson region where he was wounded.
In the evening, we were just getting ready with my comrades. Two more who died at the same moment were going to go to the position. And I don't know, I'll tell you honestly, I don't remember. I still can't even understand how and what hit us. I just remember that I came around later, I started calling the guys. I was told that the commander of the unit, his call sign was Kuvalda, was already dead. Sidoy was still alive. He was wounded and I was wounded. The unit commander, he died on the spot. Sidoy was in the hospital somewhere at night. He had a cardiac arrest. He died. I was the only one who survived, maybe because I am younger. They were both 43 and I was 24 at the time. In addition to my legs, my lungs were damaged, my intestines were damaged, and I had 5 more fragments in my right eye. I was probably treated for 4 months. My wife was the one who supported me the most. She was with me all the time, and of course my parents, her parents, but the greatest support I received was from my wife. She was with me from the moment she arrived until February 24th, when I went to rehabilitation, and she was with me every day. Throw it away.
They met on New Year's Eve, just 2 months before the full-scale invasion began. A month of texting followed when connection was available and the front line. The next time Svetlana saw Serhii was in the hospital. And all the while she was trying to restore her beloved's thirst for life.
The hardest part? Well, it's hard to say. The hardest thing is probably to realize everything. When he called, like when he said he was injured. It's not just about accepting it, it's about believing it, that it really happened. And if you take the period when we were undergoing treatment, rehabilitation, it was hard, but not so much physically as mentally. And you understand, not so much for me as for him, how he takes it all, and what he needs is to be constantly supported. I need to be a constant motivation for him, and I want him to never give up and be positive. I understand there is nothing positive here, but he is alive, and we managed to cope with everything.
Together they decided to overcome the circumstances and be happy at all costs. And they succeeded.
I now declare you to be husband and wife. Seal your marriage with a kiss. Kiss!
After being discharged from the hospital, there was a proposal, the wedding Svetlana dreamed of, and the birth of their first child, Mark. When his wife was giving birth, Serhii was there. He says he really wanted to support his beloved because they went through his treatment after the injury and rehabilitation together.
I'm used to thinking that everyone thinks that I'm so strong, that I'm not a quitter and so on. Although I lost 2 legs and 1 eye, I can't see with it. In addition, I'm still holding on, but I think it's mostly due to love. Thanks to my wife, I'm able to keep myself together, and I've always kept myself together, and I will continue to do so.
What happened? Are you fine?
Well, the biggest incentive for me was when she got pregnant, and I wanted to get prosthetics as soon as possible so that by the time my son was born, I could hold him standing up on my own 2 feet.
Psychologists say that the support of relatives is one of the main conditions for a quick return to normal life. As well as peer-to-peer help, communication with other military who have similar experiences, this technique has long been used in NATO countries to rehabilitate those who participated in special operations.
In particular, our colleagues are widely using methods set and proven by our partners. The State of Israel, the United States of America, the Baltic states, Poland. The relevant structural units of the military unit itself are involved. Military psychologists continue to interact in a multidisciplinary team with mental health professionals. Military chaplains are also involved. And then, according to the multi-level system, a serviceman goes through multi-stage recovery, stages after a psychotraumatic event.
In recent years, sports rehabilitation popular in the United States and Europe has been developing in Ukraine. Our military take part in the Invictus Games, a tournament founded by Prince Harry. This is a competition in various sports for combatants who have been wounded, and it is also a competition in various marathons for veterans around the globe.
They are already gaining a certain post-traumatic growth after a certain traumatic event, and they become quite powerful. In our society, they become powerful. I mentioned an example in certain sports competitions, in certain, let's say, in our society, in certain new activities.
Нових для себе напрямках діяльності.
They get additional education, they get additional training.
Вони здобувають додаткову
The fact that they have a certain change of values is normal. They are just adapting.
нормально. Вони просто адаптуються.
Seven months after being wounded and losing 2 limbs, he ran in Boston Marathon. Artem Morozov volunteered for the Kiev Territorial Defense Unit, served in the Kherson region, and was wounded near Pravdine last September.
I was coming back from the night shift. My relatives and co-workers gave me a Mavic 3. The weather was just perfect. We had a micro-rotation. There were 3 guys. We went to the neighboring village to sleep there, because the shelling was constant and they were in the trenches at the zero front line. It's very hard to be in the trenches for a week, 10 days at a time. And there was a micro-rotation there. 3 guys came in, 3 guys went out. To do laundry, eat no hot food and so on. And unfortunately, I understand that somewhere far away we did not hear well. They spotted us from a drone. And the mortar attack started, and unfortunately the first mine, 120 millimeters, hit us right away, the first hit. Unfortunately, 3 of my comrades were killed. Kopyshchik, Pechat and Ded. And 4 were wounded, 3 were seriously wounded. I was in Odessa for a month. I came to Kyiv, to the Irpin hospital. Here they removed the stitches, and I started training. There was a gym and rehabilitation. And somehow it just went on, and I set a goal for myself. When I was in Odessa approximately, I just have a photo, October 17th to 19th, and I was wounded on September 14th. A wonderful doctor, Azhinov Yevgeny Yuryevich, came to me and said, "You have to run in 6 months." And for some reason I remembered the Boston Marathon. I looked it up on the internet. I saw that it takes place on April 17th in Boston, in USA. At first it was a dream, so I took part in this year. I did not run the whole marathon, but in the beginning I started it. A volunteer girl had to push me in a wheelchair. I had some other prostheses for training, and I put her in the wheelchair. And I pushed her 500 meters or a kilometer at the beginning and at the end with the training prostheses. And when the prosthetist saw that I ran the Boston Marathon with training prostheses, he nearly got a heart attack.
That's it for today.
Because, well, you can only train in them, walk in the handrails, not run. In general, in this way, we also showed a little bit of the invincibility of the Ukrainian spirit. Good morning, everyone. I would like to record a motivational video with you today. For many people who cry that they are tired of the war, they have no strength to endure it, there are air alerts almost every day. Something bad happens. There is no money. Just watch this.
На самому початку був ще
At the very beginning, I was also in the New York Park, Central Park. I was running there wearing Ukrainian prostheses, but running is a loud word. I walked a little bit there, but I participated, and at the end of June I participated in the Chicago Veterans Race. I also took part in the race with running prostheses. I just got them, and I am still learning to walk and run in them. That was the first one, a milestone.
While Artem was undergoing rehabilitation, his wife contacted foundations and clinics around the globe to arrange prosthetics.
And we agreed that whoever responds first, we will go there. I know she wrote to foundations in Australia, Denmark, Germany, Israel, England and the United States. And so we went to the States in 2.5 months. Well, actually in a month and a half I got a prosthesis, 2 pairs, one was a running pair. I run in them every Sunday to the park Natalka at 9 a.m. I invite everyone who wants to come.
9 ранку всіх запрошую бажаючих.
Every day once, well, I walk around in them, serve in the army, work a little, drive a car. I have a good time when I'm in these prostheses. I simply have a good time. They are made in such a way that they do not rub, do not press and do not hurt.
Now Artem visits military hospitals in Kiev and Irpin.
Nada, hi, you can see where we are. We're doing great, everything is fine.
He communicates with wounded soldiers and proves to them by his own example that it is possible to return to full life after being wounded.
Pull and loosen your fingers. I got it. Hold the left one.
Even more, to finally fulfill his dreams. His new hobby is diving.
It helps a lot. Even now I still have phantom limb pains. And diving, there are diving classes, it helps a little bit with this too. I also went dancing a little bit. We were invited to watch it. I was like, I was good at it, maybe I should try it. And then I went dancing again, one more dream, but it is not yet realizable. To become a helicopter pilot, but now all civilian instructors teach the military. Well, I'm still a military man, so I'll bargain, I'll get it. I show by my example that life has not stopped.
Oleksandr went to the front line in 2014. He lost his leg and 2 liters of blood near Luhansk. When he came to his senses after surgery, he lost his sense of purpose in life.
When the prosthesist showed me the prosthesis for the first time, I psychologically simply did not accept it at all. It was just a scary iron thing, and when I had this thing made, it just stood there. Stood in the bathroom for a year and a half, about a year and a half. And my friends, volunteers, would call me from time to time and ask, "How are you doing, Sanya? Are you walking?" I said, yeah, I am. Before the war, I was liking to go to discos and having fun. And when I came back and met with the people with whom I lived that life, it seemed to me that I was causing them some kind of sadness in their eyes, and I just avoid them because it somehow bothered me a little bit. I just went to other cities and tried to walk on a prosthesis there. And when the volunteers found out that I could not walk on that prosthesis, they decided to send me a walking school in Austria. When I arrived there, I saw that old people without legs were walking those prostheses in their 80s, and I was sitting in a wheelchair at 29. I realized that no, I would walk.
To get rid of depressing thoughts, he decided to start traveling. He looked for cheap tours and airline tickets and went on trips. The first was Egypt, then Poland, Italy and France. That's when he came up with the idea for the Bus for Heroes project.
The idea for the travel project probably came about when I was traveling myself. And when I came back from those trips, I showed the photos to my comrades on my phone. It bothered me a little bit that many of them don't have the opportunity to travel. At that time, I had my own bus, a Sprinter with 18 seats, so I decided to write a post on Facebook saying that I wanted to show them what I had seen, so that they could touch what I had touched, and to take them to Lourdes. Once a year, military men from all over the world come to play for peace in the world, and many of them are disabled. So I wrote a post about it. It was simple. If there was a person who would help us pay for fuel and hostels in the cities we would stop in, then all this could come true. And literally by the evening, the post had gained a lot of reposts and likes. It so happened that the local authorities joined in, and they decided to rent us a big bus. And then we went. I don't remember exactly, but it was definitely over 30 people. As of today, we have already traveled with more than 500 people. We have been all over Europe, Asia, Africa, and even Iceland. And when you see people with no arms, no legs, scuba diving in the Red Sea, it's just amazing. We ride quads in the Sinai deserts, climb volcanoes, and you can just see in the eyes of these people that some kind of, I don't know, a feeling of happiness has been born in them that they haven't felt for a long time.
Glory to Ukraine! Glory to the heroes!
When the full-scale war started, Oleksandr started volunteering. His brother-in-arms asked him to help them buy cars for the front, but it was becoming increasingly difficult to raise donations through social media. And then, as always, he found a creative solution.
I could not collect money for my comrades for the cars they asked for. A pickup truck. One pickup truck was requested for the Kherson direction by my comrades. One pickup truck was requested for the Donetsk direction, and one minibus was requested for the Belarusian border. And when I wrote a post about it, I collected about 20,000 hryvnias. I realized that somehow it doesn't work that way anymore. So I came up with this idea because I couldn't save up for these cars. I decided to walk from Odessa. I looked at the map. I calculated how much these used cars cost. It was 800,000 hryvnias. I looked at the city from Odessa to make sure it was 800,000 meters away. And I looked at Yaremcha. It would be 800,000 meters away, plus the Carpathians. The Black Sea and the Carpathians are somehow symbolic. I went to Odessa. I wrote a post about walking to Yaremcha. I asked people to help me. This help was that if they donated every hryvnia, it would be my every step. And if a person donates 100 hryvnias, it means minus 100 steps, and the distance is reduced. And so, thanks to people, thanks to God, we have raised a lot of money, more than 7 million hryvnias.
Oleksandr went on his next hiking trip a few months later.
One day I received a call from Serhii Kopyshchik, and this is my fellow soldier from the hospital. We met in the hospital. He had no arm, no leg. He said, "Sanya, I need your help." I said, "What?" He said, "It's needed at the Kyiv military hospital. A new building is about to be built. We need a gastroscope to the emergency room there." To be honest, I don't even know what it is. I said, "How much does it cost?" "Well, about 3 million. I said, "Shit, how can you raise that kind of money now?" He said, "Well, let's do this. You will come to meet me from Zhytomyr, and I will come to you from Kyiv. And in this way, we will raise money." I said, "Serhii, I've already done that." He said, "It's okay, you have to go again." Yes, it was his idea to help the hospital. We came and we met. Glory to Ukraine.
Glory to the heroes.
For the Kyiv military hospital, thank you very much.
Do you have any money box there? I want to give you money.
Later we raised about 3.5 million hryvnias out of the 3,650,000 we had planned to raise. But a gastroscope is just a square thing in a big gastroscopic rack. And this small thing costs 3 million. A big gastroscopic rack, 12 million. And the company that saw Serhii and I coming decided they would gift us the entire gastroscopic rack, which costs over 12 million hryvnias. You're coming to us, aren't you?
Yes, I'm coming to you. I greet you. Good afternoon.
People are just another story because these are our people. They are the best, especially when they are all organized. People's minibuses stopped, people got off the buses and donated. Buses from Zhytomyr to Kyiv stopped, drivers came out and donated.
I read it on Facebook. Thank you very much.
Just ordinary people from the villages ran out and donated. Grannies with cans of compote were running across the road and jumping over these fences. They ran to us. They gave us water, fed us. They shouted from their trucks, "Glory to Ukraine." They were honking their horns all the time. Well, our people are just, thanks to them, to their support, all this happened in fact.
Have you heard anything from the guys?
Someone in the group wrote that this was his name. Andrei is in a hospital at the Chervony Hutir. For health reasons, he needs to get some treatment or therapy.
No, I thought.
No. After the injury, he has something with his health.
We support you. A low bow to you.
Support is the main thing that helps you get back on your feet. If they are mechanical. And strength of mind, even in the most difficult moments.
I realized that it was harder for him than it was for me, so I had no right to feel bad. And looking at the guys who were in the hospital, you understand that you can't complain that it's hard. Because if you go to Bogdan, oh God, I forgot his name, not Bogdan, the guy who was lying near the window, a boy, he had 2 legs amputated above the knees. I saw him on the first day. I had the impression that he was a small child lying there. You can hold him in your hands, but the guys smile and support us. How can we say that it's hard for us? I couldn't allow myself to break down, to be honest. It's him who supported me. Not I was cheering him, but he was there for me.
And now Roman does not allow himself to relax, he purposefully accomplishes his goals one by one.
When I got out of the hospital, I gained a lot of weight. I weighed at 100 kilograms because you are constantly lying there and thinking about the delicious foods the volunteers brought you in the fridge. We were fed quite well. There were a lot of volunteers, so it was a sin not to eat. But in fact, it was not so difficult to make yourself do it. It all depends on your strength of mind or your desire to do it and on your goal. I had a goal to lose weight. Well, then I was thinking of returning, and now I'm thinking of returning to service. I would like to return to the guys even during this phase of the war, but in order to return, you need to have good physical strength. If you have a goal, I don't see any problems or limitations, so if I have no leg, so what? I can still walk, run and jump up and down, so in general I am a full-fledged person, just with my own peculiarity.
Hello everyone! Pass it, Kostya. Pass it on. Sometime in early February, I returned to teaching, to my old school, where my students who had been studying for a long time returned. I call them oldies. They have been studying with me since they were 3 years old. They are only 6 or 7 years old now, but I tell them they are my oldies. All right, Nadia, give it back. How's your mood?
Good.
Ready to train?
Yay.
And after that, I somehow started to develop in this way. And literally in a month, we had 3 full-fledged groups. And we opened a school nearby Poznyaki district. With our backs turned, we look over the right side to where we are running. We started talking. We asked everyone how they were doing, how they were feeling. After that, I asked, do you have any questions about my leg? And I was already shaking, so I didn't know how to explain it properly. No, we already know everything. You sure? No. I said, like that, and then we ran in a circle. Let's warm up, yeah, something like that. Keep your hands level with your shoulders, don't lower them. Higher, higher, don't bunch up. I used to wonder how I would teach without a leg, and then I started to think more philosophically that a good teacher is not the one who can show, but the one who can explain. And to explain in such a way that a child of any age could understand and repeat certain exercises. Also because I could not get clear answers, I set a goal for myself that I would be the person who would give clear answers. I described everything that happened to me. I made posts. Now many amputees come to me, sometimes 2 or 3 times a week. I can only meet with them even if they are in Kyiv, but otherwise they come to me and I help them. Of course, I cannot impose my ideals or point of view, but I explain. Well, I tell my story. I show by my own example what I did, what helped me. If I was afraid before, I was procrastinating somewhere, putting it off for later. After the injury, I realized that life is too short and we have nothing to be afraid of. There is no need to put things off, we need to just take it and do it.
Each of our heroes is a victor. They have already overcome circumstances and their own fears. All that remains is to wait for the main victory. Our common victory.